I've put into motion a chain of events which I feel I have no escape from. Now, it's not actually anything serious, I put so many projects into motion recently that it's just a gigantic fucking wall. Just to list them out real quick, I still have stuff left over from the Ilium month I did back in November. I still have 2 video ideas left over from that, one of which is just fully... The audio editing is done. My most hated part of anything is just fucking done, and it's just sitting there, but I do not want to edit the video together for whatever reason. It would be like a 7-minute video about doujinshi, and like the culture surrounding it, and really, really cool ones I ended up reading for the video. And then the next one is just going over every change made in Dean's Day Night and talking about why it's actually not that bad of a show. You know, if it was just 2 videos, it'd be fine. But then, I've started making more. More stuff's just recorded. This backlog is just growing and growing. So it's 2 videos right now. The next up, I watched through the Tsukihime anime with my friend, and I've cut out sections of audio. I haven't done the process yet, but the plan is to cut out sections of audio, like the most key moments to get that visceral reaction, because there are a few fucking times I snapped and then she snapped, respectively. And it was really interesting stuff, I think. It would make for a good little video, you know, you just put it on the background and watch. So that one also requires very little editing. I just don't... I've just pushed it off to pursue other projects in the meantime, and I don't know why. Another project I've added, I just sat down for 8 fucking hours and combed through Tsukihime fan sites. You see, for Christmas, a bit of a late Christmas gift, if you will, I got this Tsukihime Colorful Moon book, and in the back of it there was 2 discs. One is a Melty Blood demo, of which I plan to make a video about, and the other was a little, it was like a fan disc, not like the Tsukihime fan disc released in 2001. This was released in 2002, I believe. It has multiple sections on it. One was that goofy-ass 3D movie, like, it had that on it, but it also has a really scuffed version of the first track of Tsukihime Feelings, but the other 3 tracks on it, the 3 music tracks on it, I should say, are actually original pieces that sound very good, and I haven't heard anywhere else. So, but they're in flash files, right? They're in flash files, so I have no clue how to decompile them and just listen to them other than opening that goofy-ass program, which I suppose I should talk about the program and get less scatterbrained right now. The first disc has this program on it that is just essentially, like, it presents in order, I believe it's a video trailer / demo from Melty Blood. Then the next one is saying, hey, you know that other disc included in the magazine? You can go play that. Go play it, you goofy, silly boy. Go play it. And then the one below that is that goofy-ass 3D movie. Side tangent real quick. That 3D movie looks like it has packaging, right? It has packaging that makes it look like it was sold separately as something. It specifically says packaging and something. So this led me to the train of thought that it has another release somewhere. But whether or not it actually has any more animation is yet to be seen. I don't even know if this is a thing you can buy, but the stuff presented in, like, the product, it just hints towards there being more things, because you see Arcwade and CL in different poses than we saw them in the trailer. It's really interesting looking stuff, honestly, and I would be excited to see that come to light someday. But side tangent over, that's essentially all I had to say about that. Next one down is just an illustration gallery that includes multiple images, of which you can tell that all the fan artists had a reverence for Akia and CL. Specifically, the section below that, I think it's like CG illustrations. or guest illustrations. It's guest illustrations. It's just all Akiya. Somebody over in Japan, some group of people over in Japan really fucking loved Akiya. They wanted that sweet incest route, and they got it. And I could not be happier for them. It was a very good route. As I've stated in the last formless nonsense I guess I'm calling it Sleepy Time. Might as well just fucking call it Sleepy's Decompression Chamber, that's what it is. But that route always inadvertently becomes my favorite in retrospect, but that doesn't happen anymore, specifically because of my next video. You know, it's the one I've teased for fucking months now. It's the Maid video. The one which I want to do some avant-garde shit and get into overly personal nonsense, of which I don't want to talk about here, because I'm going to talk about it in the video. You know, it's interesting stuff. But the Maid routes, they've been set in stone as my favorite. This is going to sound silly, but they've made me complete my little character arc, if you will. Like, I feel like I've reconciled a lot of things with myself after rereading those routes. Both of them. But especially Kohaku's route. It hit like a truck this time around. I was bawling like a baby every little second of it. And that video is going to be a really ungodly long video, more than likely. Like, no promises. It's probably going to be the longest thing I put out, just with everything I have planned for it. And apologies if it goes off the wall a little bit, because the scripting I'm putting out for it it's all over the place right now. I'm trying to get it more organized, but it might turn out to be a bit too ambitious for me, which is why I've pursued other video projects in the meantime. I want to get a good grasp of stuff before I go pursuing other things, before I go pursuing this gigantic overarching project. For example, the Nautico video I just released, which I should have suspected is not in my target demographic whatsoever. Like, I can't even blame anyone for not watching it. It's gotten a little over 100 views as of today, but the bigger point about that is that video includes some stuff that I want to try tackling in more videos. For instance, the way the audio shifts from ear to ear at some parts to get, like, the feelings across of the character. Like, I feel like that's a very valuable thing in character analysis that I want to use and abuse even more, specifically for the Maid video, because I'm not gonna spoil it, though. If you've peeped my Twitter, you might have seen it. I want to do something neat with, like, the headphone sides. That is a video you will need to watch with headphones. I think it's gonna be really neat shit. So that was preparing for the future, and then another part of the video is I really heavily thought about the music choices. Like, I went out and walked around, just paced, thinking about the music choices I was going to put into that video. And I think it's paid off. I mean, it got an instant copyright claim because the little stupid AMV part I wanted to put in the middle of it, but I'm not changing it because that part isn't stupid. It's very cool and epic. I would highly recommend, just even if you have no interest in Monogatari, if you're never going to watch Monogatari, I'll never stop pronouncing those differently every fucking time I say them, but if you're not interested in Monogatari, I would still recommend watching that video just because it makes me feel good to see those view counters go up. God. Plus, its message is less about, it's less of a analysis video and more of a, well, it is an analysis video, but the overarching point of the video was, hey, art's pretty cool, you should go do what makes you happy. So if you do what makes you happy, you're gonna stop living for superficial things. But that's a message you should get in the video, and not from me right now, so go watch it. Alright, enough shilling myself, and back to talking about utter nonsense. So, I recently downloaded the entirety of Evangelion, right? It was off of this Twitter user, old-ass Twitter user, I think Deathly Price. Just their pin tweet is a Google Drive link with everything Evangelion on it, like everything except like the Netflix stub. But I decided, because I really liked Eva, And I'm honestly on the fence of doing an Ava video in the future, just because there's so many fucking Ava videos out there, right? And I don't know what else I could add to that conversation other than my own overly personal nonsense, which I'm already going to delve into the maid video. So I guess we'll have to see how that's received in the future. If you guys would be interested in seeing an Ava video, post the lyrics to Come Sucetat or Come Sweet Death in the comments section below. Just the entirety of them. It would make my day. But back to the point. I downloaded the entirety of Ava, but that included the fucking enormous amount of soundtracks. Like, holy fucking shit. My music library on my computer was sitting at like 600 and something, but after downloading that, it has bumped up to 1800. That fucking soundtrack had it's multiple soundtracks, but it had 1200 fucking songs. So now when I put my playlist on shuffle, it's just all Evangelion music, and not even all of its music. You've seen me have to change the music every now and again because it keeps going to fucking drama CDs, and I don't know why. I don't know why drama CDs were included in Evangelion music. Those should be separate things. And then this ties into another point. I also got the Monogatari series music. For some reason, those releases, like, sometimes not even half of it's music. Sometimes less than half of it is music, and then the rest of it is just drama. It's just drama CDs, and I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. And the tracks aren't separated either, so every fucking track is like an hour long, so you never know how much music you're gonna get before it starts switching to this drama CD. I've listened to enough drama CDs after listening to the Final Fantasy X one to last me a fucking lifetime. Bad times, bad times. Not to get too much into it, because I can't exactly remember all the details right now, but that drama CD for Final Fantasy X, I have no distinct memory of it other than it being fucking stupid. I hated everything about that. But it was one of those things that you hate it, but you can't stop listening to it. It's because you're so invested in the story. Like, I am a 10-2 apologist. I really liked Final Fantasy X too, but my god, that drama CD, I think some people even call it 10-3 at this point. It's just, it's bad listen. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. I'd rate it the same score I'd give Prism of Phantasm, which, oh my god. There's another thing I've watched in the meantime that I want to make a video about. I haven't done any scripting or whatnot for this, and it would involve rewatching the special, and I kind of don't want to do that because that special is utterly horrible. Like, just everything about it. It had 1 or 2 good jokes that made me laugh. The rest is just an hour of the most inane dribble you could imagine. If I went to a movie theater and watched this movie, sat down for an hour, paid a good hard money and watched this movie, I'd be so fucking mad. I would never go back to that movie theater out of spite. I wouldn't do it. I would want to burn down that movie theater just because, my god, paying money for that sack of shit sounds like a... Even the DVD, or the Blu-ray, it's only $10 on Amazon, but I have no inclination to actually go out and purchase it. Like, the cover art does not necessitate... The cover art is not indicative of anything in the special, first of all. That special, it should have Shinji on the cover. Not just any Shinji, though. Most of my problems with the special literally stems from the fact that it uses the assassin Shinji from, like, the Oath Under Snow movie, which I love you, Hiroyama. You're my MC. You put out nothing but Kino, except you don't, because with the assassin Shinji design, you missed pretty fucking hard, man. Because that design, it's just butt ugly. This is the most unappealing Fate design I think I've seen in my life, and that includes Season 1, Prillia Shiro. Just, man, I can't look at it for more than 2 seconds without cringing. And every joke, every punchline is just, this felt even better than ejaculating! It's just, this felt 50 times better than ejaculating. This felt 100 times better than ejaculating. and then he just gets fucking punted across the room like he fucking deserves. He's a little brat. He's a little fucking ingrate. He deserves to be at the bottom of the well. I hated that special so much. I had just finished watching the Tsukihime anime beforehand, right? But it doesn't even compare. The Tsukihime anime is a masterpiece compared to Prism of Phantasm. I hate Prism of Phantasm with a fucking passion. Alright. I'll try to mellow this out a bit so it's more listenable. I can't imagine how that section went back there, but we're just gonna coast along here at a calm and steady rate. I'm sure nothing will come along to get us hot and bothered again like that. To get me hot and bothered like that. I'm talking like there's someone else in the room. I'm talking in a blank room, a messy room I should add, a messy as fuck room I should add, by myself, in the dark at a reasonable hour this time, 3:22 p.m. Sorry, 11:22 p.m. My sense of time, it's off bad, I guess. I've surrounded myself with Tsukihime, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I really like Tsukihime and I like being surrounded by it. But it started a question within me recently that I talked to a friend about this a while back, and I will recant that story in due time. In due time means in like 5 minutes or some shit. Why did Tsukihime click so much with me? Obviously, I looked at it, I applied it to my own life. Not applied in the sense of I looked at these characters. I looked at Kohaku and Shiki and Satsuki, and I looked at them, and they sparked something within me that made me reflect on my own life. That is what art does for me. I consume it, and it makes me look inward. And I start to think about my own life. I start to think about, well, okay, if this connected with me so much, then why did this thing connect with me as much as it did? And I start to ask those questions about myself, and you know, even if it's thought processes I've had before, it gets those gears turning in new and inventive ways. As I said earlier, finishing up rereading the Maid Routes, I realized a lot about myself. I'm trying so hard not to spoil it, just because I really want to save all that stuff for the video, but that's just how I consume art. But I had a conversation with my friend, with one of my IRL friends. I know, shocking, right? And we started talking about the inherent value of art, because I am someone who values it pretty highly. I adore it. It is what I want to make my livelihood. But he had a kind of different take on it, the way he consumed art, and I think he watches all my videos, so sound off in the comments if I'm totally wrong about this, and I'm stupid and a dummy. But the way he consumed art was essentially, he looked at it, said, yeah, that was neat, and moved on. Like, it made him have the thought processes, but to him, those are thought processes he already had long ago. He was a social little creature, so he was constantly involved with other people's lives and learning about them. And he applied that to his own life from an early age. He's already asked all those questions about himself. So my counterpoint to that was, that doesn't mean art has no value. It might not have as much value to you, but to other people, like myself, for instance, we look at art and can grow as people from it. From an isolated, almost hikikomori point of view, which I am not anymore. I was there for a bit, I guess. I mean, that's what fucking people have called me, at least. I never thought I was, because I was always pursuing something, but I digress. Yeah, I constantly looked at art and gathered something about myself from it. I've done that from an early age, right? Because from an early age, I was a very lonely boy. I remember distinctly many times in my life where I had the opportunity to go out and play with friends, but it was ingrained in my mind from an early age that you can have all the fun in the world just sitting in your room by yourself. So I had my childhood was essentially literally just sitting in a room playing Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Mega Collection Plus. Like, I could not tell you more about my childhood other than that. well, other than playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 over and over again, making up stories in my head for the characters to battle to. Like, that was how I had fun as a kid. Just playing through those games, getting better and better at them. I can still A-rank every mission in Shadow the Hedgehog fucking effortlessly because I did it as a child. It's one of those things I just did over and over again. Just because it was fun to me, just because it... I'm not saying Shadow the Hedgehog made me have any big revelations about myself as a 10-year-old, but I am saying I started that mindset from an early age. I started that isolationist mindset from an early age. It's something I do and have made strides to break out of. Like, I talk to people more often now. I interact with people. Ever since my last few years of high school, I made an effort to reach out to people and grow as a person. There's a period where I started regressing from that pretty damn badly, but as it stands now, I think I'm fine. From an early age, I consumed media, and that was my livelihood. I consumed it over and over again, reanalyzing, re-looking at it over and over again. And I've taken those same principles and I've applied them to my own life. Just because I looked at media so much as a kid. I've rewatched Full Metal Alchemist at least 20 times in my life because it was a story that impacted me as a yee babe. I think I was talking about this earlier, but I had many opportunities as a kid to go out and play with other kids, but I chose instead to stay in my room because interacting with other people, it was a mixture of it being scary and also it being bothersome. Like, I didn't want to bother them with my presence just because I wasn't good at anything. I wasn't athletic or the shit. All I did was play video games and watch anime all day. Well, what was I supposed to do? But that doesn't mean my mindset was an inherently bad thing, I think. Because later in life, like around the age 13, 14, I started doing something else. I started looking at media like Gurren Lagann and Fully Cooley especially. And perfect time to watch Fully Cooley though when you're right in fucking adolescence. That shit hit hard. I started looking at those shows, and then I looked at my own life. Then I looked at the shows, and I looked at my own life. And I was mortified. What had I been doing all this time? I've been wasting my fucking life doing jack shit. I need a drive. I need something to do. I need to stop escaping. So that's what I tried to do. I'm not saying I was instantly successful at it. No one's instantly successful at jack fucking shit. But I started making that effort to go and make something of myself. The first thing I tried to pursue was music. My dad had an old acoustic guitar that he hardly ever used. So I just asked him one day, "Hey, Pops, can you show me a few notes, how to play a few songs, if you will, on your acoustic Yamaha guitar?" He said, "Sure, bub." That's not how my dad sounds at fucking all, but I guess that's the voice we're going with. "Sure, bub. Let's just play Smoke on the Water." It goes bah, 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 ba, da, ba, 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 ba. But you know what? He didn't even play it right. You see, a little known secret about my dad, he was also god-awful at playing the guitar. Not god-awful, he's fine at it. He was just lazy at it, I suppose is the terminology I'm looking for. Like, he'd pick it up for like 1 month out of the year, and then never again. He would get sick of it. He would get tired of it. He'd blow it off. But I was built different. I was gonna stick with it, and I was gonna get wonderful. I think this was 7th grade year I got really into guitar. I was god-awful at first, as you are with all things you just start out as. Like, if you start out a new thing, expect it to be utterly horrible. You can see an example of this with myself. My first video on this channel, I don't know how people like that video, honestly. I can't get past the first second without cringing. The intro to that video, where it's just a little title card with Ilya on it, it's horrible. It is the most cringy thing I've ever made. You know how I made all those images in that video? I used fucking Paint. I still use Paint for my thumbnails. But you see, you can make good thumbnails with Paint. You just have to be creative with it. Like that CL analysis thumbnail. I like that thumbnail. But sometimes you don't even need to create a thumbnail. Sometimes you just need screenshots, like the Nautico video. I just used a screenshot for that, and I think it looks wonderful. Where the fuck was I? Holy shit, where the fuck was I? I have gone off on a deep end. Some shit. Yeah. So, my dad picked up guitar, but I was gonna be different. I was gonna stick with that. I was gonna do good, Dad. I swear. I'm gonna go far. So I picked it up and started playing it every day for hours at a time, just sticking with it stringently, just not dropping it. This was my thing. I was going to be a big music boy. I was gonna go out and I was gonna jam. I was gonna really rock the whole world. The positive response from my family, a positive response from your family can go far in pushing you to do something, but a positive response from your peers goes even further, right? So I had this genius idea in 8th grade. It was for a reading class assignment. I did I did my assignment on one Kurt Cobain. We were doing a biography, like describing these people's lives. So I did mine on Kurt Cobain. And for the creative portion, I decided I was going to play a little guitar. And my god, do I wish I didn't. It was a good learning experience, don't get me wrong. Like, I learned, hey, don't make a fucking fool out of yourself in public. But at the same time, everyone in that classroom just stared at me the entire time, just deadpan, and I didn't talk to them for like the entire year afterwards. This was near the start of the year, mind you. No one talked to me after that because I played so fucking badly. And here's the thing, my paper I wrote, I was always a long-winded fucking paper writer, like a long-winded essay writer. If you thought my Ilya analysis went on for way too long, one, you're right, that third video, Heaven's Feel, could have been shortened quite a fucking bit, but two, you're right, I need to be more concise, which I think I am now. Like, that, I keep going back to the Nautico video because it's the thing I literally just released yesterday. But it's one of those things I hadn't developed at that time, and it was at its fucking worst then. So the paper I had to read out in front of the class went on for 40 fucking minutes. Keep in mind, classes in middle school are only like 50 minutes to an hour. So I went on for the majority of the class just talking mumbly like this. Just talking mumbly like this. I didn't have the sheer confidence in my voice I have now. Like, I feel like I could speak in front of a crowd now and just be fine. So because public speaking is a skill I've developed slowly over time. Developed largely because this experience mortified me. After giving that long-winded 40-minute speech about Kurt Cobain and how he shot himself in the head, it went bang, bang. I then picked up my guitar, and I attempted to play Heart-Shaped Box. There's one distinct problem here. There's two distinct problems, actually. Do you know what they are, dear viewer? My guitar wasn't even tuned properly. It was in some fucked up... Half the strings were tuned one way, half the strings were tuned the other way. It was some fucked up tuning that I thought was right because I was a fucking idiot. And the other problem is, I was not good. I was horrible at playing guitar. Even a few months into it, because I had picked it up during like the summer of 7th grade, right? I was horrible at it. I was absolutely horrible at it. I feigned playing Heart-Shaped Box for like a solid 30 seconds. Immediately turned red with awkwardness. I was like, I felt my heart rate pick up. It went... I felt my heart rate pick up. It was horrible. It was horrible. At that point, I had to save face. I had to do something to fix this problem. So you know what I did? I started playing Come as you are. I did not sing. I was too fucking scared to sing. I also, I didn't have any good singing voice at the time because I hadn't taken 4 years of fucking choir. So I started playing Come As You Are. Here's the problem. My tuning's off. It's horrible. And I fucking suck at guitar once again. Why didn't I just play stuff with simple chords? I can play simple chords to this day. I have not picked up a guitar in like a month now. I still have one, but I have not picked it up in a month. I could still pick it up and jam to some chords, right? And I can pick up the songs I've mentioned just to totally save face right now and make myself not look like a imbecile. I can pick up the guitar and play those songs just fine now. But it's because I put practice into it. I put an ungodly amount of practice into it after the fact, because it was just so awkward. So I fucked up playing Heart-Shaped Box horribly. Like, it was like, it was as awkward as a fucking preteen's crackly voice. So, after doing that, my career was in dust and echoes. I looked out to the classroom, just mortified. I had brought in an electric guitar for this, by the way, so... Yeah, an old cheap electric guitar my dad had bought like a year or two prior. So you know what I did? I started playing the scuffed version of Smoke on the Water I was first taught by my dad. It was the only thing I was good at. It was so simplistic. I just had to do something that sounded I just had to do something that sounded right. I just had to, man. So I started playing it. I played it like 3 times over and immediately started unplugging everything, putting everything up in total fucking shame. I was mortified. But, and my teacher, I don't remember her name, but bless her fucking heart, she looked at me. She said, "That was good. Are you in a band or something? That was really good." And my fucking died. Oh, I fucking died. That was clear. It just felt like the most pitiful thing. It was just her words were coated in pity. She wanted me gone more than fucking anyone else in the classroom. Like, they were all looking at me just thinking to themselves, shut the fuck up. Or at least that's the inclination I got through the eyes of like a 12, 13-year-old. Those are the jaded eyes I saw. Bless her heart. I know she probably had the best intentions with those words, but those words fucking crushed me. And even more so when later in the year I had gone back home that day. I'll get to the year part later, but I had gone back home and I started practicing at it. I started grinding at it day by day, hours at a time. I was looking at videos, like how to play certain songs, I can play fucking every Nirvana song by fucking memory at this point. A little known fact, I really was into Nirvana as a kid. Not so much now. I still like to listen to it from time to time, but I like, whereas other kids had an MCR phase, I had a fucking Nirvana phase. But that's besides the points. But I started practicing at it every damn day for hours on end. I would come home from school and I immediately hit the guitar. Just immediately. Just because I wanted to get good at it. I wanted to do something with it. Because I had already said to everyone, this is what I want to do with my life in the future, guys, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it. Of course, meanwhile, I also procrastinated from it quite a bit. It was this weird paradoxical dichotomy where I would play at it for hours on end, but then the next day not touch it at fucking all. It was a very on and off relationship with me and guitar. But I still grinded at it. I grinded up that RPG stat. I thought I had grinded it to a good level. So comes in the end of the year 8th grade talent show. I had auditioned and I played Smells Like Teen Spirit, because, you know, it's the popular song. It's gonna get all the kids happy. It's gonna get them up in the stands cheering. Woo! But I didn't take one thing into account. I was still fucking god-awful at guitar. I don't know how, but I was. was going about it in a roundabout way, I suppose. I didn't look up anything. I just dived into it wanting to play songs, and that was indicative of why I can only play chords very well to this day. Like I can play some singular note melodies right now. Like I've learned how to play Die Lorelei pretty alright. I can play Sour Girl by STP pretty alright. But when it comes to like solos or anything, nah, I'm not your guy whatsoever. You give me like a month of doing nothing but that, maybe. But rhythm guitar for life is essentially the point of that. So I thought I was ready. I trained up that RPG stat. So I went up there full of pride, full of confidence, and I played my song. The judges, they didn't say a single fucking thing other than, "Are you done?" Oh, I cannot describe how I felt at that time. I thought I had fucking nailed it. So I walked out just kind of thinking I did alright. I was like, I think I did it. Ma. They called me back saying, "You can try again." So I tried again. And I didn't get it again. I fucking failed. I didn't get the spot. Of course I didn't get the spot. I was horrible. I hadn't grinded up that RPG stat enough. I hadn't grinded out the hours, I suppose, like other kids had. Like, there was another kid in the talent show that year who was amazing at guitar, had clearly made it his lifeblood from an early age, and is probably in a band somewhere now, or at least I would hope he was, because he was amazing at it. He played his own shit, too. Like, I was surprised. And he lived up the street from me at the time. That's the even crazier part. This kid lived up the street from me, and I would have known him if I had just gone outside and played with the other kids in my neighborhood. But in the years following, I've gotten better at guitar. I can still play some things fairly decently, but I found that it wasn't really my calling. And before I talk about writing, because it might just seem like I've jumped from one fancy to another, which you're kind of right, I suppose, but it's not really that. I was always hounded on for my writing when I was younger for being overly verbose and long-winded, and I've worked very, very hard at getting it more concise, getting it more refined. Ever since I hit high school, I have not turned in a single paper that has not gotten an A. Not to gloat on myself too hard, but I also had a writing teacher in 7th grade that really taught us how to write well. Like, it just wasn't the bullshit, "Alright, here's your opening statement, thesis, 5 points, conclusion." Now, she taught us, like, yeah, you use this as a framework, but hey, if you want to go beyond that, and start adding your own personal stuff, absolutely go ahead, feel free. Make it your own, make this writing your own, and I have taken that message and ran with it. I loved that teacher so much. Can't even remember her name. She was a genius, man, just a genius. And I've taken those lessons I learned in that class. I was never even good at grammar or spelling or whatnot. I just fell in love with writing. It was something I always did in the background. When I was a kid, I always made up stories in my mind over and over again, right? As I said earlier, I played Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and I made up stories. Well, now, I started writing down those stories. I started writing down my own little fan stories. Like all these fan stories I read today about Tsukihime, I had made some of those myself. Of course, way lesser quality, and have thankfully gone the way of the dodo, but there's that passion there, that unbridled passion that I've only began to recapitulate this year, not 2021, but 2020. I'd only began to recapitulate it as I visited and revisited works and started really finding something I loved. And I guess that's just the thing I want to say. Like, I found it took trial and error. There was more than just guitar. In high school, I got really into cooking things. Cooking things, not my forte. When I had to go to a cooking competition in high school, I fucking hated every second of it. And we ended up winning. I didn't go I didn't go to any more competitions. I dropped out immediately as soon as I could, but it wasn't my thing. I also tried singing, for instance. I took 4 years of choir in high school. Also, wasn't my thing. I like to sing. It's very fun to sing. I wouldn't want to pursue it. What I do want to pursue is writing. Writing and video making to a to a lesser / more extent. I'm not sure about it yet. So I do have a lot of fun making videos, don't get me wrong, and it's a very wonderful idea for conveying points. You can add so much into a video that you can't with just plain words on its screen or words on a paper, that I like the added prospects. Like, I want to take the medium of video making and run with it. I want to do things that people haven't done. As for what that is, I don't even fucking know, but I want to do it. I want to do stuff that makes my style of writing stand out, and I want to further develop my style of writing as the years come on and pass. It's just a matter of getting there, man. And I think I will someday. You know, I refuse at this point to part with it, just because it's become such an integral part of my life that I don't want to let go, because it's given me more joy than absolutely fucking anything. Like, that's not something you just let go of and never come back to. So that, to me, is the inherent value of art. You can find your own passions within it and become a fully self-actualized person. I'm not even saying I'm all the way there yet. I don't think anybody ever actually gets 100% to where they know themselves fully. If you know yourself fully, you're dead. You're done living life. There's always new things to discover about yourself. If you're someone who says, I know everything about myself, I just think you're a fucking liar. Honestly. You can know the majority of stuff about yourself. Like, you can look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm Twitter user @sleepy_crust. Which, one, would be a weird thing for anybody but me to say. But two, if you can look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm me, you've already come a long way. You are doing good, my friend, my lad, my absolute pog champ. Like, you're doing pretty good for yourself. Well, that doesn't mean you should stop discovering yourself. That doesn't mean you should stop exploring yourself and see what other avenues you could take. There always might be something around the corner that makes you fundamentally change as a person. You know, you just look at it and you get curious about it, and you're like, oh, what's this? What's awakening inside me? Oh my goodness, is that a foot fetish? Not necessarily to that extent, but, you know, it can happen. So I think those opportunities shouldn't be undershot. You shouldn't be able to say, of course you can say whatever the fuck you want. Don't leave it to me to don't leave it to me to tell people what they should and shouldn't say, because if you do that, I'm just going to say, everybody just say what the fuck you want, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. You should never be able to say that you've fully discovered everything about yourself, because you haven't. There's always something new to learn about yourself, and in my experience, every time I go outside and pace around, I always have a oh moment. You know, it's very nice, very cathartic, and it's not an always thing. It's just like every once in a while. You know, every once in a while you go out and it's just good. It's just nice. You reach that moment of catharsis and you realize why something impacted you the way it did.